Welcome to the Diva Life Show, where music meets fashion, culture meets travel, and we explore the stories of extraordinary artists and entrepreneurs. I'm your host and resident diva, Heather Poduska. I'm so excited to have you here. Now, on with the show. Welcome to the Diva Life Show. Once again, I'm Heather Poduska, your host and resident diva, and I am so excited to have you here for this first solo episode of the Diva Life Show. If you're following the show at all, you know that we do in-studio interviews with some of my amazing guests who talk about entrepreneurship, their journey as an artist, their journey as an entrepreneur, music making, culture, fashion, style. The whole thing with Diva Life is music meets fashion, culture meets travel, and we explore the stories of extraordinary artists and entrepreneurs. And when we talk to our guests, we hear about their experiences, their lives, their expertise, and it's so much fun to bring those stories and those people to you. And in these solo episodes, it's just you and me, and I get a chance to talk more directly to you and get feedback from you about what I'm sharing with you, the thoughts that you have, the questions, the things that you want to learn more about. So this is about us creating a dialogue and having a more intimate experience together on the Diva Life Show. So I'm so happy that you're here. And if you're new to me here, I want to introduce myself again and let you know why I'm here, how we ended up with the Diva Life Show, who I am, and why you should even listen to what I have to say. So I'm going to introduce myself again, and then we're going to share a story that happened recently to me that I think you're going to find really, I hope, very inspirational and hopeful and helpful to think about your journey, on your journey to success, whatever endeavor that might be as an artist, as an entrepreneur, and to really think about how important it is to think about yourself as a brand. So if you're new here, I'm Heather Poduska, and I am a personal brand strategist, an entertainer, a singer, a classically trained operatic singer, and a cabaret singer, and a TV and podcast host. And I have been performing on stage, in front of the camera, for my parents in my living room, almost my entire life. Performing is like breathing to me. So it's so fun for me to be here in front of the camera with you guys too. So that has been my beginning path as a performer, as a musician. And really my whole life has been about music and performing. And then later in my life was more about entrepreneurship and branding. And I want to share with you kind of how those two pieces came together and what it can mean for you when you're thinking about your journey, wherever you are headed on your path to success. So my journey began as a musician when I was very, very young. I started piano lessons when I was like 5 years old, and I was always singing and making up songs. And I have a really clear, like one of those core memories from when I was probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, of being at a friend's house, sitting outside, kind of making up songs, sitting on the corner. And I remember thinking really clearly, oh my gosh, I hope someone walks by and hears me and discovers me. Now, this was a long time ago. We didn't have American Idol, America's Got Talent, or The Voice, or anything like that. This was just like a really organic desire of a kid to be heard and to have their talent recognized and to feel special. And that's what everybody wants. All kids want that. All people want that. We want to feel special. We want to feel like our talent is recognized. We want to be discovered for who we are and what we bring to the table. And we all go about that in different ways, on different paths. So you might be an athlete, or you might have gone into business, you might have gone into law or medicine. For me, that path was through music. And I started taking piano lessons very early, and then I started taking voice lessons when I got a little bit older, and I did all the things that musical kids do. I was in shows, I did performances, I did solos and competitions, I was in musicals, I had lead roles, and I was also the pianist for our church, and we did a lot of gospel music. So it was so much, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. If you've ever experienced like true gospel music, so much fun. I was the pianist, we had a woman organist, and we had a woman bass player, and the three of us would jam out every Sunday to gospel music. And I was probably, I don't know, 13 or 14. So it was also another core experience to my upbringing of having that joy of music and the freedom to improvise and collaborating with other musicians. So it's just been a huge part of my life. So I did all those things. I ended up going to college and getting a degree in music, and I ended up at the New England Conservatory and getting a master's degree in vocal performance from the New England Conservatory. And at this point in my journey, I had switched over from gospel music and musicals to really focusing on classical music and operatic style of singing. And my dream was to be at the Metropolitan Opera. I mean, if you're an opera singer or you're a singer of classical music, that's probably a lot of people's dreams, right? When you're young, you're like, oh, if I can get to the Met, I've made it. And I really had that in my head that that's the trajectory that I wanted to be on. And in order to do that, especially at that time, there was kind of like this track that people talk about where you audition for summer programs that are prestigious, like Santa Fe or Wolf Trap or one of those big ones, or you get into an apprentice program, or you get into the Met Young Artist program, or you win a couple of really big competitions and your career kind of starts. You might get an agent, and then you start singing in regional or national houses and then international houses as your fame expands. That didn't happen to me or for me, as it doesn't for a lot of musicians and singers. And part of it was because I had developed a lot of body tension when I was older as a singer. When I was younger, I could wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and pop out a high C. But as I, was at the conservatory and I was trying really hard to perfect my technique, I started stressing a lot, and I started noticing the people around me who were also amazing singers and not just all this competition. And I developed crippling tension in my body. I had tongue tension, my jaw would shake, my shoulders were tense, my stomach was tense. I don't think there was a single morsel of my body that wasn't tense when I was singing. And it really, really impacted my technique. But I was determined to make this work. I wanted to be the best singer, a world-class singer. So I kept at it. I kept taking voice lessons. I worked with incredible coaches and stylistic coaches. I studied languages way beyond the conservatory. I went to Italy and I took language classes in Italy. I went and performed at different summer programs in Italy. I went to New York and worked with a world-renowned breathing specialist who wasn't a musician. He worked with emphysema patients to help them regain their breathing after they'd had severe chronic illness. I did Alexander lessons for posture and alignment. I even sported a pink tutu. Oh my gosh, this was not pretty. And took some ballet lessons at Boston Ballet for adults. I did the thing like all singers who are serious about their path do the thing. I did my thing. And I went at it, and I went to New York and I did auditions, and I worked with Joan Dornaman. I did an audition training class to learn how to be a better auditioner and refine my audition package. And I got some things because I have a decent voice. B, I worked really hard. C, I'm a good musician and I know how to act and hold myself. So I did get some things. I landed a gig singing every Saturday night at the Colonnade Hotel downtown Boston, singing opera, and that was like kind of like dinner theater. I wasn't a waitress, we just sang, but that was such a great training experience to be every week, every Saturday, singing for a crowd. It was an ensemble. I did solos, I did duets, I did quartets, and eventually I got a gig with the Boston Lyric Opera in the professional ensemble, and then I did a tour of New England with Opera New England, doing Papagena and Second Lady for a children's tour all across the upper eastern seaboard. I think we did 15 cities, 35 performances. So I did get some things. I did smaller things with smaller companies, but it wasn't this stratospheric success that I had dreamed about. And after several years of pursuing this and really throwing my heart, my treasure, everything, my body, everything into this dream, I wasn't having this career that I wanted. And I started to get really kind of bitter and frustrated and resentful and burnt out. And I knew I needed to make a pivot because my life was not feeling good to me at that point. And I felt, like a failure a lot of the time. And I started to really wear on my self-esteem and my mental health. And I knew I needed to pivot. So I decided to make a change, but I had no idea what this change was going to be because I didn't have a background in corporate training or sales or medicine or accounting or anything like that. I was working on my vowels. I wasn't working on how to build a sales funnel at the time, but I had to figure it out. So I went to a career counselor, and through a process of elimination, she told me about this thing called personal branding. And when I heard what personal branding is, I was like, well, of course, this is the next step because it's so similar to singing. As a singer, you're trying to find your voice, figure out your Fach, like where you fit in terms of what kind of voice you have, refine your voice, project your voice so that it can carry to a bigger audience, connect with your audience, be a great storyteller, have emotions and emotionally engage your audience, and then really have that showmanship when you step on the stage to capture attention. And as entrepreneurs, that's what you're also trying to do. You're trying to find your voice as an entrepreneur. Like, what is my message? How am I unique? What are my differentiators? What's my niche? Like, entrepreneurs say niche, singers say Fach. It's the same thing. Like, where do I fit in? What is my unique space in the market? How can I make my voice stand out? What do I need to do in terms of how I look, how my brand looks, how my personal style looks, and how can I emotionally engage my audience in an authentic way so we connect? It's the same thing. It's the same thing for singers and entrepreneurs. It's just a different area of expertise. So for me, it was like, oh yeah, I can do this. That's what I've been doing my whole life. I can help business people do that because that's not their expert. They haven't spent decades working on those things, most people, but I have. So I can translate those skills into this other area. And it was really fun. And I had fun working with clients, helping them understand how to position themselves and how to niche themselves, and with copy, how to speak to their ideal clients. And then I got certified as a personal brand strategist, and I also got certified as an image consultant. So I helped with style. And then we went on to do photo shoots, styling photo shoots and video shoots and scripting video shoots, so the whole thing around brand and presentation and positioning. And that was great. And the singing kind of was like, kind of on this, I kind of kept dabbling, and I never stopped completely singing because it's who I am. But I wasn't like actively pursuing this career because I'd been really frustrated. And I still didn't have the technique that I needed to have like a big career, which was also really frustrating because I was like, I don't want to like die and never figure out how to handle my voice. But I had this other thing going on until this little thing happened that you may or may not have heard of called COVID, which, put the brakes on everything for everyone. And I think all of us, when we were in lockdown, were really being forced to take a look at and evaluate our lives like, okay, what if we never get out of lockdown? And if we do get out of lockdown, what do we want to be different? And my big lesson from lockdown was I don't ever not want to be singing or performing again. And another piece of lockdown that happened for me, and I think for a lot of people, was thank God for TikTok cat videos because they saved my sanity during lockdown. And I discovered Reels and TikToks, and I finally understood like kind of how to do it. And I loved it. And I loved performing. And I loved doing these silly kind of cheeky things and dancing and all the things that all of the serious marketing gurus out there tell you now will damage your brand were the things that I was loving, because I know how much it helped me to see those silly cat videos. It really gave value to me. And it also reminded me like, I am a performer. I am a performer first and foremost, and I can bring value to people through performing. And so I started taking voice lessons again, and I found a teacher that I really clicked with, and I just started to be able, she showed me kind of how to relax, how to release my breath, how to get my vocal cords out of my eyeballs, have them come back down. And lo and behold, as I started to relax, this richer, deeper sound started to come out. And what we discovered was, hey, after all these decades, I'm not a soprano. And part of what had been happening was I was trying to jam my voice up into this higher register because I thought I was a soprano, and I didn't really have the technique or the bass to let my voice really open up and live where it wants to live, which is going to be a whole other podcast, a whole other show. But what happened for me was I started to really understand my voice and to sing with so much more ease and freedom and comfort. And it just felt so good. And now my technique is growing. I feel more relaxed. I feel like I have more agency with my singing. And this whole other world opened up to me. This whole new path of mezzo repertoire opened up to me, and almost like kissing contralto, right? Like kind of pretty low. And I thought, wow, what do I do with this? I know I want to perform, and now I have this whole new lease on my singing career. I want to sing, I want to perform. But wait a minute. I have just spent the last more than a decade building my branding business, right? Building out a mastermind and courses on how to do phenomenal photo shoots and how to style yourself and how to position yourself and how to give a profitable signature talk, and doing like, what am I going to do with this? This whole branding piece of working with clients and helping them with their messaging and photo shoots and video shoots and all. And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know how it's all going to come together. And that's how the Diva Life Show was born, because I was like, I'm not going to chop myself up into little pieces. I am me. I am the whole package. You are you. You are the whole package. And we need to find the umbrella for our brand and who we are that fits all of what's exciting to us to come together. So that's how the Diva Life was formed, to bring music and fashion and entrepreneurship and artistry all together, because I actually believe that artists desperately need entrepreneurial skills and entrepreneurs desperately need artistic skills, because we live in a video world. We live in an eye candy world, and you need to know how to perform, whether you're an artist or an entrepreneur. So I'm actually really excited about where things have landed. And I'm not going to limit myself. I'm going to keep just creating and seeing how things pan out. And I'm so glad that you are along for the ride. So I want to welcome you again. And this is how we got here. And to kind of illustrate how important both the skill sets are of your talent and how important the entrepreneurial and branding side is of the package that you bring to the world, I have a little story to share with you. So this year in the fall, I joined a choir, and I have never other than getting paid to be in the professional chorus for an opera company, I have never pursued joining a choir. It hasn't been on my list of things to do, and I wasn't looking for that. But I have 3 kids, and my youngest daughter is a senior. She's almost going to be graduating, but she was a senior this year in high school. It was our last year together with her at home, and she wanted to join a choir, so we decided to do this together, which was just been really special. Really wonderful time together, doing this music together every week, going to the choir. But it also was this just lovely surprise of what an amazing experience it was because of the choir, the Dante Alighieri Coro in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It just was so nice. The people there are lovely and warm and welcoming. And let me tell you, these people are so smart, so smart. My daughter and I are always like, oh my gosh, these people are so smart. I hope we can keep up. So the people there are wonderful. The conductor, Nathaniel Meyer, is one of my guests. I found him so fascinating and wonderful. I wanted to interview him for the show, so you'll meet him in one of the further episodes down the road. So enthusiastic, so warm, and just loving the music and bringing the music to life. And our pianist, Elaine Smith-Purcell, who I've known for decades, just an accomplished and phenomenal pianist. It just turned out to be this incredible experience. So we did our spring concert a few weeks ago, and I got to sing a solo along with some other professional soloists that came aboard, and I wanted to sing a Neapolitan song. And I had this great song, Accarezza Me, which is, if you don't know it, it's just super sexy, just like flirty and sensual, and I just right up, almost like loungy and almost cabaret, like I right up my alley. And I'd actually sung this piece a few months earlier at a different performance, and I wanted to kind of brush up on the performance part of it before we had our concert. So I decided to do this thing that a lot of musicians do, especially a lot of younger musicians or people who are just kind of starting out, which is to find a smaller, friendly audience to perform for, to kind of like break your teeth in on the repertoire. The audience loves it, they enjoy it, and you get to practice your repertoire. So I reached out to a local nursing home and asked if they would like me to come and sing. And this story got me kind of triggered. And I know that when I get triggered, that means there's a growth opportunity. Anytime we're like really emotionally triggered, it's like, okay, what's going on inside of me that I need to look at? Where is my ego rearing its head? What's going on here? And this story definitely got me triggered. Don't worry, it's not a scary story. It's not going to be anything bad that you're going to have to hopefully not go to therapy over, although I may need to go to therapy over it. We'll see. But as a musician, it got me kind of triggered, and I'm going to share it with you because it's a lesson in singing and taking care of yourself as a singer, but also in terms of building your brand. So I reached out to this care facility and asked to speak to the activities director. They put me through to their voicemail. I left a message, something like, "Hi, I'm Heather Poduska. I'm a professional singer, and I would love to come and sing for your residents sometime. Could you call me back and let me know how that might work?" And I had already sung at this facility, so I kind of already knew how it worked, but I don't mean it's been a while, so I wanted to talk to the activities director. And waited a couple days, and no one called me back. So I called again. I left another message. "Hi, I'm Heather Poduska. I'm a professional singer. I'd love to sing for your audience. I have some repertoire, and I've sung there before. Could you call me back?" And I didn't hear back from them. So I called a third time. And this time I was like, okay, I'm going to talk to someone and find out, kind of push the agenda. So I talked to the front desk and I said, "Hey, I really would like to get in touch with the activities director. I left a couple of messages. Could you please let them know that I called? I'm a professional singer, blah, blah, blah." So a few days pass. I get a message in my voicemail from the activities director that goes something like this. "Hey, Heather, thank you for reaching out. I got your message that you'd like to come and sing for the residents. Just so you know, for anybody that we have come and sing for the residents, you have to have 2 letters of recommendation from other senior facilities before we will have you at our facility. And because we don't just take anyone off the street. If that's something that you would like to do, why don't you get back in touch, let me know your budget, and then we can figure out if this is going to work out." Something like that. That message got me so triggered. I can't even tell you. And I've had some time to think about it and process this a little bit, so I'm not quite as triggered now. And this is where you come in. I would really love to know your feedback about this, your comments, your thoughts, if you think this is like, whatever, or if it also makes you feel a little, because I had a big ick factor around this, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you what this has to do with branding. So I think it's 100% reasonable for any organization, any business, any household to vet the people that they have come and work for them. As a homeowner, you might interview 2 or 3 different painters. You might look at their website. You might ask your neighbors or ask your friends or family, or look on Yelp to see what the reviews are, and then make your decision right after checking them out. As a podcast and television host, I vet my guests. I know who they are before they come on. I usually either know of them, check out their socials, I do my homework. And I think it's totally reasonable that the nursing home vets anybody that they have come in. So I think it's reasonable that they would ask for some kind of proof of talent, a link to your website, which they did this person did ask for that, 2 letters of recommendation, a link to your website, and we don't let anybody off the street. So that is totally reasonable if they want to look at your social media, or if you can send them a video of something you've done already, a performance or an audition tape, or whatever that is, proof of talent. And of course, if they want referrals or recommendations, to have to send a press kit with testimonials or reviews, or to have a link on your website to have them go look at, or maybe your voice teacher or a coach sends something, right? I'm not arguing that you shouldn't have those things. That makes total sense. What really bugged me was that the requirement was 2 letters of recommendation from other nursing homes. And I just found it, to be honest, really elitist and gatekeeping, because as wonderful as it is to be able to, get a little extra cash if you're starting out singing for these nursing homes or to practice your repertoire, it's also a nice thing for the residents. So I know my parents are elderly, and I know they would love it and would attend if somebody came to them where they are and performed at the level where I perform and sang for them. They would love that. And I know when I was young, I used to sing for my grandmother in her nursing home, and I sang for the residents, and they loved it. They so appreciate it. So it's this win-win-win, right? Like the nursing home gets to provide this nice thing for the residents. The residents love it. As the artist, you get to practice, and it feels good. You have this audience that really appreciates you being there, and it's just this really nice thing. So it bugged me so much that there was sort of this gatekeeping to this particular facility, that you had to have 2 letters of recommendations from other facilities. And I was like, well, are your residents more worthy of hearing me sing than the residents at the other facilities? That just really bugged me. And then I also felt discriminated against. Again, this might just be my ego, and I fully recognize that. But I felt discriminated against as a performer, because I thought, does the HVAC person have to get 2 letters of recommendation from other nursing homes before they can work on the AC? Does the plumber have to get 2 letters of recommendation from other nursing homes to clean the toilets here? Like, what's going on? Why is this is this for everybody? And I guess I could check the facts with that. But my assumption is, I don't think so. Like, they probably have, a list of people that they use, that they know, that they trust, that have, a website and referrals and Yelp. Like, why do the artists have to have this? It just bugged me so much. It felt like gatekeeping. It felt elitist. And I will tell you, most musicians are not trying to curate their nursing home portfolio so they can work their way up the nursing home syndicate to get good enough to sing at that level. I'm certainly not doing that. And so that was just something that really irked me, and it gave me kind of like a bad feeling. And then the second thing was when this person said, and we don't just let anyone off the street. First of all, that person should not have said that, in my humble opinion, because you don't have to say that. You can just know that you have a certain level of performers. It was kind of insulting. This person didn't know me. They didn't know what my level of performance was. And it was an insult to street performers. I mean, I'm like, look at Tracy Chapman. She just won a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grammys, and she started singing in the subway. And if you go down to Faneuil Hall in Boston, you will hear amazing street performers that the nursing homes would be lucky to have come and perform for them. So I just got this huge ick factor. Now, before I go any further, I want to say I don't have any ill will towards this particular person. I'm sure it's just a policy that they have. I'm sure this person had no idea that it was what they were saying was impacting in the way that it was. And if I wanted to, if it was really important to me, I could have called, and I'm sure that if I had said, hey, I'm a professional singer, you can check me out here are my testimonials. I'm sure it would have, I've sung there before, but it wasn't my priority. It's not how I wanted to spend the time. It wasn't the best use of my time. I went on and did my concert. It went fine. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. But it made me sad. It made me sad that I didn't have that opportunity, and that the residents didn't have the chance to hear me sing and hear the repertoire. So here is where the branding part comes in. I want you to imagine how the conversation would have gone or could have gone differently if the activities director had gotten a phone call that went something like this on their voicemail. Hi, I'm calling as a representative of the Taylor Swift management team. And Taylor has a great aunt who is a resident at your facility, and Taylor would love to come and surprise her and sing for her and the residents, because her great aunt has never gotten a chance to hear her sing or see her sing live. And Taylor's in Boston right now doing a concert. Would you call me back if you'd like that? If we can arrange a concert, can you give me a call back? Do you think that would have been different? The response would have been different to that person versus the response that I got? Yeah, Yes. Do you think that they would have said to Taylor Swift, you need 2 letters of recommendations from previous nursing homes that you've sung at before we will allow you to sing for our residents? Hell no, that would not have happened. Why? Because Taylor Swift is famous, because she has a name. She is recognized globally. She is one of the most influential people in the entire world. Now, you don't have to be Taylor Swift, but the more you build up your acclaim, the more you build your fame, the more you build your brand and have name recognition, the more these gatekeeping restrictions dissipate. The more the gates open for you, the more opportunities you have, the more platforms, the more people, the more access that you are going to get, the higher the fees that you can command, right? All of these opportunities are going to be available to as you raise your fame quotient, as you increase your brand recognition, your opportunities, your wealth potential, your access, all of those things increase as well. So as an artist, you have 2 jobs, 2 skill sets that you need to work on. And as an entrepreneur, you have 2 skills to work on, 2 sets of skills to work on. So on this side, you have your skill as the talent. And the more you can build your expertise so that you become undeniable that you are bound to have success. And a lot of people never get to that undeniable place. You get really good, you get really excellent, but the undeniable, only a few people get really up there. And that is also sometimes aided by this other side. But I think about people like Tom Brady. What he did was extraordinary. Whether you like him or not, whether you believe in Deflategate or not, he's not deniable. You cannot deny his talent. And the things that he did, the effort that he put in, the extra dietary things he did, the extra practices, the way he practiced, his discipline, his commitment was just superior, and he was undeniable, right? Olympic athletes are undeniable with their skill set, right? So you want to build this undeniable talent, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes, especially if you're in the arts or entertainment, you can have the skill set, you can be the best at what you do and still remain pretty anonymous. And that's why it's so important to build up this other side, which is your brand, which is your acclaim, which is your fame. Because sometimes the people, and you'll see this in your industry and other industries, in the entertainment industry, sometimes the people who have the success aren't the most talented ones. They don't have the best singing voice. They might not be the best actor, but they have some of this element built up so much that it outweighs this. They have the showmanship, they have the style, they have the sexiness, they have the body, they have the magnetism. And you might be thinking, oh, but that's all superficial. Yeah, a lot of it is, but we buy with our eyes, and it's part of life. It just is. When you see somebody that looks really stylish, you turn and you pay attention. When you see someone who has a really, really in shape physique, like The Rock, that's noticeable. That's part of his brand. When people have built a name for themselves and they start to self-promote or get a PR agent and get themselves out there, or they start posting regularly and really, really, really promote themselves, this piece builds up and it aids this piece. And artists and entrepreneurs need both. It's like having arms and legs. You don't empty the dishwasher with your legs, and you don't walk to the store on your hands, but you need both. They serve different functions to have a complete life, to have a complete body, and to have a complete body of talent that is successful at the level that you want to be, so that you don't have to deal with all of this like gatekeeping. Build your brand. Build your brand. Okay, so that is the story. That is the lesson today. Let me know what you think. I obviously have some things I need to think about as an artist and as an entrepreneur as well. But I think it's a fascinating thing. I do think it's a fascinating example because it's just so obvious, like how the differences would have been under different circumstances. And think about it for your own experiences, your own stages, platforms, opportunities that you want, and what you need to do, and who is getting those opportunities that you want that you aren't currently getting. What do they have that you don't have yet in terms of talent and in terms of promotion and packaging? Okay, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know what you think. I am Heather Poduska on all platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's Heather Poduska. If you're listening to iTunes or Spotify and you want to go on social media, it's Heather Poduska. Please leave a comment or review on any of the places where you're watching or listening to the podcast or the show, to the Diva Life Show. It helps the show. It helps us reach more people. And I'm genuinely interested in your feedback. And if you know anybody who would also enjoy the show, please share it on out. The more we can grow our community, the more fun we're going to have. So thank you once again for joining me here, and be sure to tune into other episodes of the Diva Life Show, where I'll be doing live episodes, of solo episodes, and interviewing amazing guests. Until next time, thanks so much for joining me, and here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Diva Life Show. If you liked what you heard and saw today, I would love to have you join us for the next episode as I interview one of my amazing guest artists or entrepreneurs, or for another solo episode where you and I get to know each other better. And speaking of getting to know each other better, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback and comments, so you can find me on the socials at Heather Poduska. Just DM me. And if you'd like to know more about me, my services, more about the show, you can visit my website at heatherpoduska.com. And if you liked the show and you liked the content, you know anybody who would also like music, fashion, culture, and entrepreneurship, share it on out. Let people know, let your friends know. And if you'd be so kind, I would so appreciate a review wherever you are consuming the podcast, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. It helps us expand our reach and grow the community. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you many days filled with joy and with music. Until next time, as always, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye.